Yep. I said it before and I'll say it again.
That last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here.
No, I cannot. It's over. Go home. That final scene
starts now. Portions of the following ABC special program have been pre-recorded.
This is the plaza of the Music Center in Los Angeles, California, where these crowds have been gathering since early morning to watch the arrival of Hollywood's most glamorous stars for tonight's ceremony, like lovely Elizabeth Taylor in silk chiffon over Arnell Georgette, Art Carney, winner of an Oscar last year for Tonto and Me, glamorous Jennifer O'Neill, Margot Hemingway wearing red and white Portrell matte jersey, George Burns, Best Supporting Actor, Sunshine Boy.
Oh, and look, there goes Simon Haines in a dashing dinner jacket. But enough of the red carpet. It's the That Final Scene Oscar prediction special. Please welcome your host, Sophie.
Is that you?
And two men called Simon.
That's a good American accent.
I think it's an AI one.
Oh.
And also, I'd like to apologise to you, Ben, because I'm using the intro from last year when you weren't here.
To be fair, I had COVID last year. I sincerely apologise for that, but also I don't apologise because I would have given you all COVID if I'd come. So. Happy to be here this year.
Well, we have to thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hello.
Hello.
And welcome officially to That Final Scene, the podcast where we talk about final scenes in films and TV shows. Only in this episode, we're going to do none of that. I am Sophie, and I am here with Ben and Simon, as always. But we also have another Simon in the house today. Simon Haines, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
The actor in residence.
The actor in residence. Yeah.
We needed some professional assistance.
My Amdram background only gets us so far on these things. So. I can only apologise that I'm going to put you through this all for the next few episodes, but I have started watching Halo season 2.
You have?
Yeah. Simon, I don't know if if you'd listened, but I watched the last season of Halo. And it was dreadful television.
Is that the one that you hate watched?
Yeah. To a lesser extent than the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon, which I kind of hate watched as well, at least towards the end. But I had watched it as someone who's a fan of the video games, and it was dreadful. Like, it was so bad. It was so disconnected from what the games were. And to be fair, a lot of like the PR campaign for the second season has been them going, listen, we kind of knew this was going to happen. We knew people, like, there was going to be a big core of like people who like the games and the whole Master Chief element. And they're like, as soon as he took his helmet off and people didn't enjoy it, we kind of expected that to happen. The only problem is that if it was a good enough TV show, I'd be fine with that. But it's so dull. Like, for a TV show that is based around like intergalactic warfare is the easiest way to put it. It's so dull. It's so like, it's like paint by numbers. Like, there's like some kind of weird religious element to it with the aliens, and then there's the whole super soldier thing, but like not in an interesting way of like, oh, these machines that then kind of, you know, there's a whole thing about them having like chips in their brains that take away, like make them completely complicit, and then big taken away. There could be something interesting there. There isn't, and I don't know why I'm doing it to myself, but I'm going to start watching The Shogun, which is on Disney Plus, which is supposed to be amazing. I really want to watch that. Which is like this samurai kind of, I think it's 18th century Japanese TV show, which is getting
cool.
like 10 out of 10 across the board, apparently. So
nice.
I really want to check that out.
Okay.
Because I saw The Holdover, which was amazing, and American Fiction, which I enjoyed. But yeah. Also balancing that out with some Halo.
Right. Co-host Simon?
Is anyone familiar with the work of John Travolta in the 80s? Why is that funny?
And so it begins. Welcome to That Final Scene podcast.
And I'm really hoping this goes down the look who's talking route. That's what you're talking about.
Oh, it's not actually. But it's a film by the director Brian De Palma.
Okay.
So of Scarface fame.
Love him.
Carlito's Way. 1981, John Travolta, and it's called Blowout.
Love that film.
Do you know it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Have you seen it, Simon?
I haven't, no.
It's about a sound recorder, so it's right up my street. And he's out late at night recording some sound effects for a film he's working on. And he accidentally captures the sound of a murder on his long-range mic. And it's all about news and media manipulation. You don't get it so much these days, but the ending is total despair.
Right.
I felt that about Gone Baby Gone. Remember that
Scarface,
movie? You get to the end of that and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, the world is shit. Okay, great.
Maybe endings go in phases, and in the 80s, it was like okay and quite exciting to do really despairing endings. And then we kind of are in this era at the moment.
I mean, tying it into an
optimism.
Oscar theme, I would say Oppenheimer doesn't end on on an optimistic note.
Didn't have a choice.
No, not really. Especially when it's based in fact. You know.
I just think I can't even remember what's the final scene of Oppenheimer. I've watched it so long
It's
ago.
that
now.
dead stare.
It's the dead stare after. It's the reveal of what he spoke to Einstein about, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what.
And what was it? What was it he said? He said something Einstein didn't like.
This fucking weather.
No, I think he
Not
just.
sure about the haircut, mate.
Not mad on the mustache. It's something to do with this, and he says that we didn't know if it was going to set off a chain reaction or not. And he was like, oh yeah, but like you know, you'd had the guy do all the maths, and he was like, yeah, but I didn't know. We didn't actually fucking know, but we did it anyway. And then it ends on that really horrifying scene of the world destroying itself, where you see all the nuclear missiles firing.
Mad.
Yeah.
Mutually assured
I
destruction.
almost feel like the final scene or that final stare is in trailer promos. Like I see it everywhere. That stare.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think I've seen it in trailers.
What have I been watching? I have been trying to crack through this Oscar nominee film list because I had a bit of a patchy London Film Festival this year. So I can't remember what I was doing, but I was working and just couldn't see as much as I wanted to. And so I have been absolutely cracking through them. I had previously watched Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I have watched Zone of Interest, Maestro, Holdovers, Anatomy of a Fall, Rustin, Poor Things, American Fiction, and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Wow.
All
That's
for you
impressive.
guys.
It's about
Thank
93
you.
hours of movies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impressing.
It was great fun. I loved Holdovers too. It really took me
Same.
by surprise. I did not want to watch that movie. The poster put me off. Honestly, I had in my mind that I wasn't going to enjoy Paul Giamatti as an actor, but I bloody loved it. I thought it was great.
I actually
I
thought-
laughed and I cried.
Yeah, I actually even in the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like Paul Giamatti in it. But then by the end of it, you're just like, oh my God, he's amazing. He was incredible.
I mean, I presume it was written with Giamatti in mind because
Yes. Yes.
he's
Yeah.
playing this tragic, like fallen character. His life hasn't turned out as he wanted. Same in Sideways. He was a writer that hadn't had his book published. He was doing this teaching job to make ends meet, but it wasn't really what he wanted to be doing. And this, again, in the Holdovers, there's that scene where he meets a more successful classmate of his from back in the day who's done really well. And
Who's teaching at Harvard.
and he ends up lying
They
about
lie.
what job he's doing because he's so embarrassed about it.
And he's like teaching abroad, isn't it? He's like, he
Yeah.
teaches in different places.
In the interview that I heard of him this morning, he was saying how he actually enjoyed playing that character a bit more because he was like, yeah, with this character, I could see him fully resigned and I kind of enjoyed that level of comfort, while with Sideways it was more self-pitying involved.
Yeah. 'Cause I think resignation's the right word because the intro sequence, you can tell when someone's just resigned themselves when there's a tube of hemorrhoid cream just like out on the
first shot.
table.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just
I
like,
missed the hemorrhoid
I don't give a
cream. I
fuck.
love
Like,
that.
here's the hemorrhoid cream. Here's the nail clippers. Like,
Yeah, it's an interesting year for like directing pairs as well. I don't know what you think, but like, if obviously I didn't realize that was the same Giamatti and the same guy from Sideways. But then you've got Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy. You've got DiCaprio and Scorsese
And
again.
De
It's
Niro.
and De Niro as well. Like, it's an interesting
Stone
one.
and
For,
Lanthimos,
where you see it like awards really can be bred from these kind of like powerhouse couples.
I think
of,
there's
like,
there must be a
directors.
higher hit rate of success when the part is written with an actor in mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
but you can probably tell us more
Yeah,
about that.
because but it's the same as any job. You don't you've developed a sort of rapport together. You know what each other are thinking sort of before it happens. I've got to add in Justine Triet and Sandra Hüller to that list because I think we might come and talk about Anatomy of a Fall later, but they've also done at least one film together before. But yeah, it just becomes easier. It's the same when you're on a podcast for the second time as well.
You know the traps.
Yeah, the
exactly.
pitfalls. Yeah,
Another wobbly table.
the nods and winks. They all become more apparent. Yeah.
Well, I saw an Oscar-nominated film that probably most of us hadn't heard before. It's called The After, and it's a short film with David Oyelowo. It's the only short film that I had time to watch from the shortlist. It's on Netflix. It's about 20 minutes long. So it's about this rideshare driver, like an Uber driver, who's basically grappling with grief because of something that happened very early on in the film. And the majority of the film is basically seeing him process the grief by overhearing passenger conversations. So it's very much like, it's a very like physical performance. He doesn't have to talk a lot. We just see him like listen to what's happening in the background and different like conversations, and like he's almost trying to process what happened through those conversations. And then something happens in the end, which kind of like provides, I guess, some sort of resolution, the back of his grief, but
less high octane version of Collateral.
Didn't land with me, that resolution, which is a bit, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Like the main takeaway was, because he was actually astonishing in the film, he was so good, and I'm like, why haven't we seen him in more stuff? Like, where is David Oyelowo? He did Selma.
Racism is
Selma.
Part of the answer, isn't it? You know, just
because I feel like he had, like, obviously Selma, he was incredible. That was his, probably, was it actually, it was The Butler that was his breakout film, because he was in The Butler.
Oh, was he?
He had a small role,
But he's been around. I feel like he's been around British cinema for quite a while, though.
Yeah.
I mean, his kind of world breakout would have been The Butler and Selma, but I feel like he's been around British cinema and television for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm thinking internationally. Like he did that United Kingdom with Rosamund Pike, which again was very British.
He's doing a big TV show at the moment that I keep seeing advertised with Donald Sutherland. You know, it's the sort of something or other, name of a specific place in America, Lawmaker or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember it. Yeah.
Wow.
But, he's incredible.
I think I've seen posters for that. What was the one that we watched for the podcast about all the taxi? The Jim Jarmusch film?
Oh, yeah. Night on Earth.
Night on Earth. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess similar kind of
It was
energy.
similar, yeah, but he wasn't actually talking.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
He was mostly listening. Yeah.
The kind of film that I associate with that. Have you seen that, the Tom Hardy one, Lock?
Yeah, that was good.
I rewatched Lock a couple of weeks ago.
It's the only one of those that I kind of can tolerate, really, just because
they're like, wait, we're going to make a film about a cement pour.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half.
But hang on, Tom Hardy's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
That's right.
Okay, great. But it's only going to take place in a car. Oh, right, okay. But there's going to be interesting phone calls.
Do you know why I rewatched it? Because an old builder I'd worked with before came round, and I was like, dude, I've got a film, and it's going to really stress you out. Because we were discussing doing a cement pour in the back garden for the studio, and I was like, you got to check this film out with Tom Hardy, and he's like, okay. So I'm going to get his review. In fact, I'll get him to ring his review in.
Yeah,
okay, amazing. Please
love
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Shemek,
builders on builders. Maybe we can make a segment out of him of different movies about builders.
It's called
Was it
Lawmen Bass Reeves, or Bass Reeves, it's called apparently. TV show. Anyway.
Really? I never heard of it. Yeah. Weird. Yeah, I just think he had a bit of a weird career.
But it makes me think of the thing with the Bend It Like Beckham, right? Where there's all this talk about the young woman in that. She should have been a star.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. And it's partly, I think, just the sort of structural racism in the industry and the roles that are there and audience perceptions and studio perceptions of like what sells. I mean, like I was talking to someone who works for Disney, was talking about like what are the shows that get the most ratings, and I think the show that was like the least popular out of all the Marvel ones on there was the one with a black female lead. And they were like, that's just how it works. And the one above that was the one with a white female lead or a green female lead, actually. She-Hulk. And then, so it's, I don't know, I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because he's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's done a lot of theatre, probably, here
so.
and again in West End. I feel like I've seen him here and there. But yeah, worth watching because it's 20 minutes long and it's, he's really good. And I love it when someone acts without like actually opening their mouth. Like it's a very physical and visceral performance. So I'm guessing it's very hard to do. Okay, so we said we're going to talk about Oscar predictions, but before we get to that, we wanted to play a bit of an Oscar game. So Simon, you're an actor, which means you have to work with accents and dialects and different voices and tones quite a lot. Which is why we're going to have you judge some of the best and worst accents that have been nominated for an Oscar over the course of the past, I want to say, even 30 years. We're going to go back for a couple of those. So some of these were picked by our listeners and others were picked by the internet. A couple of ones I really hated or loved. So again, it's a bit of a mix. Which has been the hardest accent you've had to deal with?
Oh, I was auditioning for a James Graham TV show and I had to try and do a Nottinghamshire accent.
I thought you were going to say Nigerian.
No, although I do have a story like that.
That's well in
that
Simon's
wasn't me. Yeah, and I've actually worked in Nottingham a couple of times, but I was staying in the posh part of Nottingham, apparently, the Park, which is like the posh part, apparently, and I wasn't really that tuned into the accent, and I had to do it really quickly. And I was holed up in somewhere because I was filming something shortly after. I was trying not to get COVID, but it was like I had like 24 hours to get this tape ready in this accent that I was listening to it, and I was like, I didn't even realise this was an accent before. Apologies to people of Nottingham. And it was so hard because it was like, it sounded like an accent, but then there was this random vowel sound in it where I was like, but that's the same as a Southern accent. How is that in there? Anyway, I did an all right job. And I didn't get the part.
Can you give us a blast of it?
I actually can't. I would offend everyone who lives above the M25. That was really hard, yeah.
Especially when you have 24 hours to prepare.
Really hard. But I think any accent is hard. And like, I think people who think they're really good at accents, you put your head over the parapet.
There's nothing worse than being out with someone and somebody goes, hey, this guy does this. And you're like, oh, okay. And whenever anyone says, oh, my friend does this voice, inevitably you're going to be like, it's going to be shit, but I'm going to have to like nod and be like, that's a brilliant Mandela impression. My God. It's like he's in the room.
It's all right if you don't do it for a living, but like, as I said to you guys earlier, I really think that, part of acting is doing accents in the same way. Sure. It's like, I don't know, imagine if there was a big part of your job, be like, I'm not really very good at that. I don't know, if a journalist be like, I'm not really so good at the writing side of it. I'm really good at like interviewing sources and stuff. And but when you're an actor, and there's a lot of pressure on accents. You got to be really good.
So we're gonna have you pick a number from 1 to 13, and then Simon, you're gonna play us the respective clip.
Start with Lucky 7.
For the second time in the lives of most of us, we are at war.
I know who this is. He's a local boy.
Over and over.
That's Colin Firth in King's Speech, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this one, I want you to obviously the accent is one thing, but also the tonality of it all and like the pauses he takes, which is obviously is very big part of the film itself and how he's trained to speak like that.
That's from his successful
towards,
moment.
Exactly, that's from towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're willing him on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible because I remember watching that and thinking, he's not doing that good a job. Is this meant to be the best? Is this meant to be that? Yeah, he's nailed it. But no, he's doing much better than he did at that first one. Obviously, I think Colin Firth's amazing. He's brilliant. And he's a Chiswick boy. So
is he? I didn't know that. Local.
He drinks around here.
Oh.
He's so much part of it, isn't it? The was in the tonality. I think it's also really fun as an actor when you get to base it on a real person. You get to listen to voice clips.
I was going to say, what's harder? Someone saying to you, do an accent, or someone saying to you, okay, I need you to sound like this person?
I don't know. I guess for some people it would be the second is harder, but I really like the second. In fact, my accenting thing I've just done is like I literally will always just take a person, base it on them. So it's Jurgen Klopp is what I'm doing. But because no one's ever going to go like, wait a minute, he sounds like Jurgen Klopp. Because even if I did it like perfectly, which I couldn't, it's still coming through my body and my voice. But there's a thing that a shout out to my mate Chris Lakewood, who's a fantastic voice coach. He was doing voice coaching on Wheel of Time recently, and he told me about this concept of oral posture. So it's not, you obviously think of the character, the physical posture, but there's also the posture of your vocal tract. So, where is your tongue? Where is your soft palate? How much is your jaw dropping, or, how much are you spreading your lips? How much are you rounding your lips when you speak? And even just making those little changes will start to do it. So I'm not going to do a demonstration, but like if you try and do an American I'll do a demonstration, the bad one. A lot of the bad American accents that you hear on, British actors doing and stuff, because they're still sort of staying in this place where they're in the British oral posture.
That's Cumberbatch.
Oh, is it?
I was going to say that sounds.
So like the shape of the mouth and like the jaws dropping too much, lips rounding too much, and there's too much space in the mouth, and so it's like you're hearing those two accents together. I shouldn't cover my mouth. First law of podcasting, don't cover your face. So yeah, that's Colin Firth isn't doing that. I think he's doing a really good job of he's transformed his whole vocal track there. So
Okay.
Good job, Colin.
Give us
10
another
out of
number.
10.
10.
So don't tell me you're here to make a difference, huh?
And you're here to make a buck?
I'm here for lack of...
This is the one I said I wanted, to be honest. Yeah, fantastic.
Really? Peace Corps
Lovely
types
stuff.
only stay around long enough to realize they're not helping anyone. Government only wants to stay in power until they've stolen enough to go into exile somewhere else. And the rebels, they're not sure they want to take over, otherwise they'd have to govern this mess. But TIA, right, Med?
TIA. What's TIA?
This is Africa.
Oh! I had no idea what it was meant to be. I thought is it British? Is it Irish? What is it meant to be?
I went with Irish at first.
Is that the one you're saying South African? Is that what it's meant to be?
Well,
That is
he's
South
not
African.
though, isn't he? He's
It's a
he's
twa-
supposed to be from Zimbabwe or something.
so
And
Zimbabwe.
it's
Is it
DiCaprio.
Is that DiCaprio? Oh,
in Blood Diamond? Yeah.
Oh, Leo. I thought
Which
you
is
were
an
great
amazing
in
film.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
It's a great
though.
film.
He was really good in that.
Yeah. So the reason we added this accent in here is because it's actually very controversial, because generally it is considered bad. But if you do like a Reddit rabbit hole, and find yourself in one, you're going to see that some people will claim that actually this is a fair accent from wherever he's claiming he's from. But that said, the consensus is that, it's fairly bad. But
Well, I live with a Zimbabwean, so I'm going to ask Nesta
Yeah.
to rate that accent.
Yeah.
And I'll get
bring
back
the
to
clip.
you.
Yeah.
So, jury's out on that one.
What was your initial reaction to that?
I had no idea where he was from.
Yeah.
I thought, is this a 1940s film? Is this meant to be the war? I had no clue. But I have that with real people. When I meet real people, I'm like, oh, you're Australian, you're Irish. Nice to meet you. You're from Somerset. Sorry.
Oh, amazing. Okay, let's go.
Let's go 11.
Everyone is waiting for the Mac.
Maybe. But what happens when they find
I
out
want
that
to listen
for
to the woman.
$24.95 there's nothing you can do with it? We were competitive at $1,500. But once you replace the Motorola 6809 with the 68,000...
Which is what supports menus, windows, point-and-click, high-res graphics.
Yeah, because everyone needs rectangles with rounded corners.
Coach lands in the runway at the exact same time as first class.
I don't have the first fucking idea what that means, but this is how it got to $2,500,
Okay.
which is the price point on the PC, which can
Who's
do
gonna want a
a
PC?
lot more.
Is that from the Steve Jobs film? So
Correct.
Is it Kate Winslet?
Yes.
One of my big crushes from years gone by.
But is she doing what you've just said there? I wonder. In that it sounds like a British person trying to do an American accent because of the way they're kind of structuring their face, maybe. Or just like their vocal palette.
I'm not going to disagree with you, Ben.
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect for St. Kate. I think she's amazing. But yeah, that's what I was hearing. But maybe
I didn't mind that,
Maybe it's a very
actually.
specific accent, like it could be a Newfoundland accent or something.
The background behind this one is that he's actually trying to do someone who's obviously lived in America for a long time, but he has a Polish background.
Oh, okay.
Which is why you
So
could
it's-
hear
okay,
that.
it's good.
Maybe it's something very specific then.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
She was nominated for an Oscar for that one. Yeah.
So was he, wasn't he? Fassbender was
Yeah,
nominated as well,
yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
I have nothing bad said about him.
Me neither.
Let's go 12.
You open the ball on these people, Mr. Nash, you must be prepared to go all the way. Because
Oh, I
they
love
won't give
this
up the
film
fight
and this
until one
accent.
of you is dead.
I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him.
Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. And that's how you get Capone.
See, you didn't play the best clip.
Oh, sorry.
Because the best clip of this is the bit where I realised what accent he was trying to do. Because there's a bit in it where he calls some Italian guys some like offensive word for Italian, and the Italian guy's like, "Yeah, you can shut up, you fucking Irish." And I was like, "What? He's Irish?" Oh, Sean Connery. He doesn't need to do accents because he's got such a great accent himself. So I give him a 10 out of 10 for that.
For real?
10 out of 10 for just being himself.
Well, the Academy members agree with you because he did won an Oscar for that role.
He won an Oscar for that performance.
19, yeah.
Well,
AJ.
there is precedent for some of the nominations this year.
Just proves you can hit your wife, but they'll still give you an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
Should we go to... Let's leave 13 till last. Let's go to number
If
1.
we'd opened the doors, there would have been chaos. How could we have restored order? It happened so fast. It was snowing, the bombs, the flames. There were flames all over the village. Then the screaming began and got worse and worse. And if they'd all come rushing out, we couldn't just let them escape. We couldn't. We were responsible for them.
I think that's meant to be a German accent.
Yes, correct.
The interesting thing with this is when you're speaking an accent from a different, like a country that speaks a different language, and then you're doing it in English, you've always got a sort of spectrum that accent can be on. We'll know loads of Germans who don't say village, they say village.
I was just going to say that in German, a V is pronounced as a W, isn't it? So you wouldn't say village.
Or the r sound, which I probably can't do. I think when I did the Einstein thing recently, I just was like, I'm just not going to do the r's, because I don't really know how to do them and I don't want to practice. So you're giving yourself a bit of leeway, I think, always with these, because you can always just claim like, we just wanted to sort of vaguely inflect it with German. I mean, look, no judgment on that. I could hear some of the L's were, good. A light L instead of a pull, instead of pull that we would say. I'm curious who it was. What's the film?
That was Kate Winslet for The Reader. She also won an Oscar. She did win an Oscar for that one.
I think.
It was in The Trial.
Yeah. I remember loving that film. I haven't seen it for a long time. But. Okay, should we go to number 2?
Immensely worthwhile, or at least useful thing that it is you find to do?
I wasn't intending to leave here to be entirely useless. I expect I'll find some other way to be of use.
In other parts of the world, I suppose there are other ways.
Of course.
Are you so stupid you imagine you're going to find a more gratifying?
Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, I think I just got it as well.
Is that Michael Caine?
Yes.
Doing an American accent?
Yes.
Well, to be fair, I thought it was Denzel Washington at the start. My favourite. Wow, Michael Caine.
What film is that from?
I could hear him
The
there.
Cider House Rules.
Cider House Rules. He won an Oscar for that.
1999, and he won an Oscar for that. And I think that's his only Oscar. And maybe has another one, but that was his last Oscar for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's considered a terrible accent.
But this is the thing, like, I mean, who the fuck am I to know? And I'll watch something and I'll be like, accent. Oh, and I should say this before. I went with my friend Victoria Rigby, and I'm naming and shaming her here. She's an actress and her family is Scottish. And we went to see this play at the Bush Theatre. And it was a play that Michaela Cole was in, actually. And there was a Scottish social worker in it, and Victoria would not shut up at the end about how bad the social worker's accent was. But of course, the social worker genuinely is Scottish. And that's just and that has happened to me so many times. I've been in workshops where casting directors have said, you really need to work on your American accent. And they've been like, this is my native accent. I am American.
But it's not a perception of what you should sound like.
Yeah, exactly. So, Michael Caine might be absolutely spot on there with some very specific accent.
Yeah, thank you.
I enjoyed it.
No, yeah.
Giving them all 10 out of 10. If you asked me to rank the accents of some of the Oscar nominees this year, I'd be giving you
let's dive right in.
I think it's funny for us because, like with that Michael Caine one, we know his famous voice.
Yeah.
So it sounds nonsense that he's doing a different one. I guess that's why it's funny. Yeah.
I think that's quite funny. There's these people who do micro impressions online, which are quite cool. It'd be like, De Niro, trying to get the waiter's attention to pay the check and stuff like that. And these little things. Yeah. I think it'd be quite fun to see people doing impressions of people doing accents, So I don't know, Robert De Niro doing an Irish accent or something. I'd love to hear that. Anyway.
I'm sure there's a film of that somewhere.
I mean, De Niro's probably attempted a couple of Irish accents,
like a B-movie, with Al Pacino somewhere.
Can you imagine the level of skill you'd need to do that, to do a De Niro impression and an Irish accent at the same time? Well, for you, it'd just be one.
Well, for me, it's just me, yeah.
Oh, look, a message from our sponsor.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it.
Nah, yo, hold my poodle. Hey, yo, what's up? Y'all got a problem? Y'all want some of this?
Without much further ado,
here we go again.
Well, we talked about the male nominees quite a lot. So I think we should start with the actor in the leading role category when we talk, because we're going to talk about Oscar predictions quite. I don't know if it's going to take a long time or a short time, but we'll have time. Does every single one of you have a prediction or maybe a favorite on this category. So we have Bradley Cooper, we have Coleman Domingo, we have Paul Giamatti, we have Cillian Murphy, and we have Jeffrey Wright.
I think the way I put it is I think Cillian Murphy will win it. I think everything is going towards that way, and I'll be very happy if he does.
This guy has aged 10 years in that press
Yeah,
story.
I mean, I think I've said this in the last time of the podcast, but like he looks like he's like fucking sick of talking about that film. He really is like. There was a great clip of someone calling at the SAG Awards, someone calling him Cillian on the red carpet, and you just see the moment in his face where he hears it, and he just goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" As he turns to the cameraman that's just called him Cillian
For the
to take his
98th
picture.
time.
Yeah,
he's
for the
been called
98th
Cillian.
time on this press tour. I think he's fantastic in Oppenheimer. I really do, and I think there's also though an element of the way there was when DiCaprio won it. You know, people are kind of like, it's his time, you know, it feels like, you know, Cillian's done his dues and it's time to win it. You could say the same about Giamatti though.
Mhm.
And I think Cillian will win it. I'll be very happy if he did. But if on the night somebody reads out Paul Giamatti's name, I'll be like, very well deserved. I think he's the other one that if it wasn't to be Cillian Murphy winning it, I would want him to win it, I think.
He's the only one who could contend Murphy, I think, at this point.
Yeah, true.
But again, we're talking like 95% chance, 98% chance of Cillian winning it. But
I think Cillian Murphy will win, and I think there's a few reasons, and obviously his talent is part of it. But you know, it's an absolute monster, Oppenheimer. You know, it's like because winning these awards is about nothing other than lots of people voting for you within the Academy. So, for example, like, I know I'm the only one who's seen Rustin around the table, and I bet there's a hell of a lot of Academy voters who haven't seen Rustin, but who will have seen Oppenheimer. But there'll also be people who haven't seen Oppenheimer and who still vote for Cillian Murphy for reasons you've talked about. But like, it's just such a like behemoth of publicity. And I saw something. One of the BBC journalists was saying something along the lines of the Academy also really wants to reward. And the Academy doesn't really exist, you know, who is the Academy? But there's a feeling within the Academy like we should honour those films that are sort of like, you know, doing CPR on cinema and getting people back into theatres. It's funny about the thing of like it's his time, because honestly I've not really been aware of his film career at all, and I know he's done like a load of the
he's in a lot of Nolan films.
Sorry,
he's in a lot of Christopher Nolan's films.
Right,
He's done quite a few.
But yeah, this is the vibe that I'm getting from my friend she's an American, but she's been on like a BAFTA jury and stuff, and the word on the town is that he's going to win it. I would prefer to see Paul Giamatti win it personally. That performance,
I would as well.
I was so surprised by it. I found it really funny. The whole film I loved more than Oppenheimer. For me, Oppenheimer's not really my kind of film. I preferred Tenet. I'll be honest.
That's a super hot take.
That's
a spicy take.
I think it's a really cold take. I'm probably the only person in the world who preferred Tenet, but I did prefer Tenet.
Actor in a supporting role, we have Sterling K. Brown, that I know Ben and actor Simon loved, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, and Mark Ruffalo. What do we think?
I would like Mark Ruffalo to win it.
Damn, for real? From these 5?
Yep.
I don't think I would like Sterling K. Brown to win it. So I think he's the best thing about American fiction, and there's a lot of like he's the one kind of character that you kind of connect to the most, because he's in the whole film, and he's, or at least the one that I felt I did, or like he was the one that I bought into the most in the entire film. And I think Robert Downey Jr. probably will win it. And I'm more so feel like, rather than Cillian Murphy, I'm really rooting for him. With that Robert Downey Jr., I'm kind of resigning myself to the fact that he's going to win it, even though I think it's very, you know, well deserved. It's a solid performance, but I think there's more nuance in what Sterling K. Brown does in American fiction than there is in what Robert Downey Jr. does in Oppenheimer. I don't know, maybe that's not fair to say, but
I mean, the Academy loves to reward these roles that have one scene-stealing, you know, moment. And I think RDJ gets to have that. I don't know if Sterling K. Brown has like that one scene that wins him the Oscar, but RDJ has that. And I think the Academy is so shallow that sometimes they think like that. I also think that Hollywood actually loves RDJ, and I think it's almost like they never gave him like the physical recognition of him having like a proper comeback after Iron Man. And I think it's a bit of that as well. But
feeding his ego.
But I also did love him in Oppenheimer, and I thought he was in RDJ. So I think he did something different. So
What about De Niro or Gosling? No, we have no De Niro or.
I mean, no Gosling whatsoever. But De Niro I did like, because as I said earlier, before we started recording, I do think that he did something different there. Like, it's the very first time since I've seen him so menacing in a film. However, I also feel like, he just showed up to work and he just did a film with his best friend, and I don't think it was a difficult thing.
So, why do you want Ruffalo to win it then?
I just thought it was fun.
Okay.
Good. Yeah. It is a fun performance. For sure.
I like the fact it looks like he doesn't give a shit, and he's rolled out of bed and he's just reeling it
and
off.
he's doing an awfully creepy faux British accent as well.
Love this for him.
It's hilarious. I love it.
Great.
Interesting.
Cool.
I would, for me, to weigh in, I agree. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to win it for all of the reasons we've already talked about. Same as you, Ben. I really prefer what Sterling K. Brown is doing in American Fiction, because I think it's more spontaneous.
Yeah,
it's fun. There's a lightness to it. Obviously, Oppenheimer wasn't about lightness and fun, but it could have been about spontaneity. But yeah, I also, like you, Sophie. He's not, Robert Downey Jr. is not an actor I've seen a lot of, but I was really pleasantly surprised by the performance. I thought it was, it really took me. He had a great character in it as well. He was really well served by the writing. But whereas Sterling K. Brown, he had a small part, and he just didn't get the chance to steal the scenes. And even if he had, not enough voters are going to have seen it and are going to be behind it. And I do think, do you remember when Mark Rylance won for Bridge of Spies?
Yeah.
And there was this outcry because Sly Stallone had not won it. Like, it was people were outraged.
Oh, I remember that.
And it's like, wait a minute, what is this award? Is this for the best performance this year?
Or is it a popularity contest?
Exactly. And I think it is a popularity contest.
For sure.
And American Fiction hasn't got that machine behind it. I loved Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon. Thought he was great again. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Seth. He's been great and giving those great performances just like that of his career. And
feels so easy to him. It's like coming to work.
Rolls out of bed and is that person. Yeah.
What are my lines again? Cool. Actress in the leading role. We have Annette Bening for a film that no one has seen.
You've seen it.
I did not.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Oh, I thought you'd seen it. That's why I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound great.
And that is why Annette Bening did not win the Oscar. She gave the best performance, but none of us.
It's on Netflix now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it came on. Yeah, I think it came on Netflix.
I'm so sorry, Annette.
Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hiller, Carey Mulligan, Emma Stone. It's a tricky one because we saw I think up until the SAG Awards, you and I, Ben, were really torn between Emma and Lily potentially winning. And now with Lily winning the SAG Awards, it looks like Lily's the more likely frontrunner.
I think she will win it.
Yeah.
And
it's also a very American subject.
Yeah, and it's a much similar to what you're saying, Simon, about like how many people have seen the film and that kind of positive American sentiment. Killers of the Flower Moon is a much more Oscar baity kind of film, and that doesn't take away from her performance. I think she'll win it on merit alone. Like, she should win it on merit alone. And I think Emma Stone is very good in Poor Things, but I wouldn't give her the Oscar, I don't think. But I was going to say someone like Sandra Hüller could win it though. That could be one of the ones where there's a shock, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would give it to her
Yeah.
for Anatomy of the Fall. I thought she was just fantastic. It was so good. I mean, the film was amazing as well, but yeah, I loved her. And Carey Mulligan, again, as I said before we started recording, I actually thought she did something different in Maestro, especially towards the second half of the film.
For me, this is the most exciting of the four categories this year. I think there's some, for me, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller, and Carey Mulligan, I thought they were all great. And any one of them would deserve it. I think Lily Gladstone's going to win it. And I thought she was incredible. And she reminded me of that thing that happened around Mark Rylance time, where I was talking to a friend who's a casting director in LA. And because I absolutely love Mark Rylance, but I didn't love his performance in that film, really. He gave an incredible performance that everyone has got to watch in The Government Inspector, which he won a BAFTA for in 2010, I think. Incredible performance. And for me, some of what makes him so great was missing from some of his more recent films. And I said to my friend Jeremy, so why do you think he won? And he said, well, none of us had ever heard of him. And then suddenly there's this actor and it's like, whoa, who is this guy who's standing like toe to toe with Tom Hanks? And in fact, it's actually like knocking him out in these scenes. And that was what I felt like the second that Lily Gladstone was on screen.
Yes.
In that film, I was like, whoa, who is this person with this self-possession and this like soulful, you know, slow, like power. Oh, so it was, she's got an amazing flavour as an actor. I was so impressed with her.
So, what do you think?
You haven't seen Killers, right?
No. I would like to see Emma Stone win that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you haven't seen the rest?
I've seen Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, okay.
What did you think?
It was good bleak. I don't want to watch it again. And I thought the sequence in the middle with the argument that got played in court was the most powerful section. It was so real. So if the award was for realness, Sandra should get it. Because it was like just like watching almost like a documentary. Whereas I really enjoyed Emma Stone's mad performance in Poor Things. I liked her crazy accent. I liked her.
It's a very physical
walking.
performance as well, isn't it?
I think the Oscars do they like a disability. Do a stutter. Do a one leg. They love it. They love that stuff. So maybe Emma might be the surprise winner.
I think they're gonna go with white guilt.
She did have it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think white guilt for the Oscars tends to trump quite a lot these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't really comment because I've only seen two of them, but I really enjoyed the ones that I saw.
I think Lily's gonna win it, and I hope she does.
Okay, actress in a supporting role.
I think
Emily Blunt,
nailed on, isn't it?
Danielle Brooks, America Ferrera, Jodie Foster, and Divine, was it? Divine. Joey Randolph.
I think the cook from The Holdovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, her,
She's
Divine
really
Joy Randolph all the way. I mean,
she's gonna win.
Incredible in that film. I thought Emily Blunt was great in Oppenheimer, and I think America Ferrera, she's good in Barbie, but that almost felt like they were going, fucking hell, we haven't nominated like Margot Robbie, and we haven't nominated oh my God, the director's name's falling out of my head.
Greta
Gerwig. We need to nominate someone. Because
Yeah.
we've fucking nominated Ryan Gosling and Best Supporting Actor for some reason. But Divine Joy Randolph is unreal in that film.
I think compared to the rest, it must be like I personally didn't. I mean, I thought Emily Blunt was good, but I don't think the script gave her a lot to work with. I just thought she was like.
I don't remember her. In that
yes,
film.
she was.
She's
she
barely
was.
in it.
She's a second wife. Yeah.
But I mean, can we just talk about women in that film? What was it? My friend was saying the first time a woman comes on screen is like about 49 minutes. Not that. It's like 20 minutes
and
through. And then she's immediately naked and he fucks her and disappears and kills herself.
That is Nolan for you in a nutshell.
Track record of not being able to write women
like
again.
That, Chris.
Nolan is. I mean.
And you can say, well, that was the story, but yeah. Anyway, so Emily Blunt for me, I was baffled that she was nominated because she was barely in it, and not in a Judi Denchy way. She's a great actress, but like what?
Yeah.
This category for me, to be fair, I haven't seen Danielle Brooks, haven't seen Jodie Foster.
Yeah, I mean.
But yeah, I think it's
Divine,
Divine Joy.
She did what you were mentioning earlier, Sophie, where a lot of what she's projecting is not spoken. And there's that feeling of tragedy and grief that sort of emanates from her in that film, which I thought was really excellent.
The scene where
she's on the bed with in her sister's house.
Well, not even that. Just before that, when she's like putting the clothes away that she's bought for the new baby. Like,
it's that said a lot.
Floods in the cinema. It's just like when she's fixing the little shoes in the dresser. Like, oh my God.
And there's also that scene just when she's in the bedroom. She's just put away the little baby clothes. And the sister walks in with her palms out. And there's so much love in that connecting moment between them because the sister knows what she's lost.
Yeah. And when she tells them as well that the baby, if they have a boy, his middle name's going to be Curtis as well.
Directing. Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet. Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese. Oppenheimer, Nolan. Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos. And The Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer. We think it's a lock for Nolan.
I mean, Nolan's going to win, isn't he? But
because it's his time.
Exactly.
Has he not had one of these?
No,
he's never. I think that even that BAFTA was his first BAFTA, wasn't it? I think.
I have to say, I am pretty sure I wouldn't be making these predictions if it weren't for Barbie.
Yeah,
because I think
it's
Barbie,
a disgrace that Barbie's not nominated.
Not for that, but like
it is nominated for Best Picture.
Barbie took Oppenheimer to the next level in terms of popularity. Like I don't think Oppenheimer would have been so big if it weren't for Barbie. I think because it's a very difficult film. I think a lot of people
because it was the antidote.
Because it was Barbenheimer. It was the whole thing like do a double bill and everything. I I don't know who told me this. I think it was someone who was working at the cinema where I went to see Barbenheimer. Someone said that 16% of the people that went to see Barbie heard Oppenheimer from Barbie. So like 16, yeah, exactly. So 16% of the people wouldn't have seen Oppenheimer if they hadn't seen Barbie.
Wow.
So like it was a huge lift for the Oppenheimer train, because it's a very difficult film, because you're right, like Inception is such an easier film to get on board with, or Interstellar.
Yeah. And I think this is so often the way, like the one I keep going back to is Colin Firth, who I think should have won the Oscar for Single Man the year before.
Oh, I love that film.
It was a beautiful performance and I loved the film. And for me, like the King's Speech performance, I was like, it didn't really do as much for me.
It's a very
really
Oscar-y performance. Yeah.
But it becomes one of, and I think there was, I think I said this last year, so apologies to anyone who's listened to last year as well. Similar with Jeremy Irons, where he gets nominated for Dead Ringers, I think. He gets nominated for Dead Ringers, which he says is the performance he should have won for. And then there's another performance, once people have heard of him, the year after, where he gets nominated for that Klaus von Bülow film, whatever it's called. Reversal of Fortune. So yeah, I think it is a year of like, okay, well, we should have given him one. Same with Return of the King, right? Which is not the best Lord of the Rings film, and it gets the best
picture
and everything. I would love to see any of the others win it, except for Yorgos. It's not my.
I'd like to see Greta
Yorgos
Gerwig win it, but thanks guys.
Who would you have picked from a directing perspective, Simon?
Ooh, I think Yorgos Lanthimos should win it because it's the most audacious title from the list.
I'm with you.
I think he's like taking the most risks and it's the most original.
Yeah.
And it's the boldest. Yeah. It's something I had never seen before, I think.
Yeah, I think we need a bit more craziness like that.
Yeah, I give him it.
Cool. Best Picture. I think we all know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
We have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, which I loved, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
And so this is the thing now where...
It can't not be Oppenheimer.
No, it can't, because it's even more of what I just said of like, you know, all the people are going, oh, shall I vote? I don't want to vote for Oppenheimer. Well, I'll vote for one of 9 other films that I quite liked. You know, should I vote for Zone of Interest or Anatomy of a Fall? Or, So, like, unless you're starting to vote really strategically as an Oscar voter and be like, right, what's the most likely one to not be Oppenheimer? Then it's going to be Oppenheimer. But apparently, I can't remember. Was it you guys who told me last year that they opened up the Best Picture category to be more films over the last like decade or so.
It happened with The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
But in order to like boost cinema.
Yeah, from 5 to 10.
Right. Yeah. Which is great, isn't it? So that more films can have that stamp on their poster. Hopefully by the time I make my first feature, they'll be doing like 4,000 nominees for Best Picture and it'll still be won by Oppenheimer.
Is your film going to be called Le Haines?
I lived with a French guy once and I said to him,
isn't it?
said to him, how would you pronounce my surname's Haines, Haines. And I said, how would you pronounce that in French? And he straight away, without thinking, he said, Anus. But he was taking the piss.
It would be derriere.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to make a case for Barbie just because I think Barbie was, you know, the way you talk about people going to see Oppenheimer off the back of Barbie. Remember when Nolan did his whole thing during COVID of like, I want to save cinema. That's why I'm going to release Tenet. And I don't care. And nobody went to see it really because we couldn't go and see it. And personally, I didn't really enjoy the film. If Barbie had released during COVID, I would have fucking flocked to the because that film...
That's the power of Ken.
Yeah.
You could have released pink face masks.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But like tartan pink face masks. I think Barbie, and the reason I would say Barbie should win the Oscar is because I think that Barbie film is everything that I go to the cinema for. I think it's incredibly funny. It's also incredibly moving. The soundtrack is incredible. It looks amazing. The direction is brilliant and the performances are amazing now. And I came out of it being like, I could just watch that film over and over again, constantly. Like I loved Oppenheimer and I rewatched it recently, but I probably won't rewatch it for like another 6 months to a year.
Wasn't enough sing-song in it.
No, there wasn't enough sing-song in it.
I'd have liked a song in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, exactly. One musical number. What's gonna it's not gonna kill you. You know,
I
especially.
reckon Killian could probably do a good Sinatra. I reckon.
Yeah,
See that.
true. Yeah.
I'm hating on Oppenheimer so hard. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening. But, I love Tenet. But I would also have liked to have seen a different perspective on the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which is like maybe some people in Japan. Maybe that story would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think a song would have made it better.
The Holdovers would be the close second. Like if there's any chance for a film to compete with with Oppenheimer in this category, would be the Holdovers.
And I think it'd be nuts. It'd be absolutely bananas if the Holdovers did win. But for me, it was the film that I got the most pleasure out of watching out of this list. Of films.
Do you think these actors that they put like Oscars parties on to curry favour, don't they? Isn't that a thing where they have drinks parties
like
and
brunches
stuff?
and screenings?
If there's any one of those, right, I'd want to go to Paul's one. I bet it's the most nice, fun, down to earth drink session you can get.
Simon, did you know Paul has a podcast about time traveling?
What?
And consciousness.
I'm well up for
and UFOs and Bigfoot and
not drinking Merlot.
No. But he's not like a conspiracy theorist or anything. He has a podcast with a best friend of his who's a philosopher and just have like crazy conversations. And they have like episodes with Tom Hanks.
I'm definitely going to check that. What's it called?
Chuang.
Sounds like you just made a sound there. I don't know.
Chuang. No, what's a word for chat in British? There's like chuang. Like
sound like you were saying gangbang.
Chinwag.
Gangbang. Yeah, gangbang.
Chinwag.
Chinwag.
Wag.
That's the name of the podcast.
Chinwag. That sounds like a Chinese name. It's Chinwag with a G, like wag, like a dog wagging.
Yeah,
its
exactly.
tail.
That's the name of the podcast.
Okay.
To Spotify.
Okay. Can you confirm?
Because Cara Swisser asked him, what does this mean? And
Paul
he said,
Giamatti's Chinwag with Stephen Asma.
Paul Giamatti's
Chinwag. I'm just quoting him. He just said, it's old British it's an old British slang for tap.
Yeah. I don't know. It must be Cockney or something. I don't know.
Yeah, mine would have been Past Lives. I just absolutely loved that film. I think it was the best film of not best, but like my favorite film of the year. I sobbed so hard on the plane. Yeah, it's just very sad. I think if you love films like Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, which kind of explores relationships, but not like in a Hollywood way. It's that kind of film, and it's just so raw.
I'm looking forward to that.
Authentic, yeah. I think you'd love that.
I'm going to throw in a curveball for Best Director.
Let's go.
I'm just saying to be provocative. Bradley Cooper. Because for me, I loved, except for the dance, I loved the direction. I loved where the camera was.
I loved it too. I loved it.
Yeah. I thought it was like so fucking bold and audacious. And like I said, I'm not a fan of actors directing themselves. I don't think it's a good idea.
Is Bradley Cooper nominated? Is he?
For director. Yeah. He was fantastic.
The categories that I think are actually like much more wide open are the writing ones: adapted screenplay and original screenplay. So for adapted screenplay, there's American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Zone of Interest. I could see that being wide open, honestly.
I can see American Fiction.
It's not strong enough, I think.
I think it's big. I think it's very strong regionally. Like in the US, it's gotten quite big, but
maybe, yeah.
And
I guess that's the thing,
internationally,
right? We're looking at it from a UK standpoint.
What I find a bit disappointing about this whole list is that it's just so repetitious. Like it's the same films in every category. There's nothing. It's just we're having to have the same discussion basically about each section.
Which is why someone like Emily Blunt was nominated because it was the snowball effect of Oppenheimer just being everywhere.
So with this Academy, right? How does I know the all the members of the Academy can vote, and that's totted up, and the winner wins. How do they do the nominations?
I think first round. I think first round is only the you vote for your own like department basically. I think everyone can vote for Best Picture. I think. But then actors vote for actors.
For the nomination.
Yeah, soundies vote for sound.
The other thing that I think started up, I think it went live this year actually, is they put some sort of D&I, diversity, vetting considerations in the nomination phase, which is why I have a feeling Naiad is in there. because they wanted that sort of diversity, like women,
Swimming.
older women, and older women in particular. So they have some sort of minimal qualifications for your film to be eligible.
Did you say that swimming is a diversity
Well,
thing?
it is an issue.
Water-based
When was the
film.
last water-based Oscar
Shape
winner?
of Water, too
diversity
long.
it's a sport for the.
You walked out of Shape of Water.
Yeah. Don't ask me how Oppenheimer made the cut for that. But
I'm curious, like, do you know what is that? Because I know that there's been a push to like diversify the membership by like, you know, making many more people members. But like, is there another specific thing they've been doing at the nomination?
Yes, I think you have to fit specific criteria in order to even for your film to be qualified to be nominated, to be in the shortlist. Because before you get nominated, there's a shortlist.
Yeah, so you have to have at least one woman who gets naked and then is had sex with immediately by Cillian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a new thing that was introduced this year.
So in original screenplay, it's all the names we've heard before, but there is a new one for you, Simon, which is May December. Anyone see that?
I mean, no. Yes to the performance, is no to the film.
It's not your order. Oh, and we've forgotten actually that for Best Picture, there is that thing where you have to do it in preferential order. Do you remember this?
Oh, I do remember
really?
that. So
It's a
that
game
could be an
change,
interesting one. Oh,
Wait, May December's about the underage relationship.
Yeah.
that
you talked about that a while ago. Yeah.
Natalie Portman and I love both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the film.
But yeah, this is the exciting possibility that I've got, which is that all of the people who don't want Oppenheimer to win, why am I hating on Oppenheimer? I enjoyed the last half of it.
I could see that. I mean, there's a reason Coda, won Best Picture.
So they have to do this thing where it's like you have to put your first, second, third, you rank your choices. Now, people could be putting Oppenheimer 10th and then putting, the Justine
Barbie
Trier.
Barbie Best Picture.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So it could be that the preferentials win it and it goes to...
Yeah, holdovers, because it's consistent. Yeah.
Sophie, someone's written a review of May December. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
It says Moore's character spends her time either crying in bed or baking cakes ordered by neighbours who don't actually want the cakes, but charitably give her something to hope for.
That's so accurate.
I want neighbours like that.
Yeah. You don't want that one.
You have 2 cakes going spare.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my closing thought was, I think I might have a heart of stone because I think I'm one of only 2 people on the planet who didn't love All of Us Strangers. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Got to see it.
Didn't get much love. Is it even nominated? There's nothing.
No, but it was nominated for the BAFTAs. Yeah. And seeing the Best Actor list, and everyone who knows me knows this, I'm not Andrew Scott's biggest fan. Like, I've got so much respect for him, but his work doesn't really speak to me. I think he should have been nominated compared to some of the people on the list.
Interesting.
For me
I
this
love
year.
Not Paul Mescal though.
Love Paul.
Love
Paul.
No, I do want to see All of Us Strangers. I was talking with my partner about it and we were looking at it and it was like, do we want to go and see it? It's like, I feel like I need to be in the right mood to go and watch that film purely because I've heard of how just heart-wrenching it is.
But what mood is that? Is that the mood when you're like, you're already down, so
yeah,
fuck it. Why not double down on
fuck
this?
I
Cry
mean,
it all out.
I finished season 2 of Halo and I'm like, do you know what? Fucking get me out of here. Let's go and watch All of Us Strangers so I can feel something. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. When are the Oscars?
10th of March.
Yeah, next weekend, isn't it?
Oh, that's around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Crazy that we recorded an episode.
Yeah.
About it, right?
We're almost at a Nolan length of this thing.
Oh, really?
I know, yeah.
How long is it?
Yeah.
Well, we're at 1 hour 38.
1 hour 38.
Really?
We haven't even got to the inciting incident. Don't worry.
I thought we were going to be at 3 hours.
We can't just
There are no women in it yet.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Wow,
They've
okay.
still got their clothes on.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, Simon, we're gonna have to have you react to the wins with a voice note
I
at
will,
least.
definitely.
Yeah. Because I have a feeling there's gonna be a twister in there. I have a feeling there's gonna be a twister.
I hope there is.
There's
I hope
always
there
a
is.
twister.
Please, can you play your Zimbabwean flatmate, the clip?
Hell yeah.
And then get him to WhatsApp us the voice note.
Yes. We'd love
put
to
it
see
in.
I'll
that.
get Nesta's read on it.
Great.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, I realize we have Dune 2.
Yeah, we could do Dune 2.
So we can do Dune 2.
Are we
Yeah.
IMAXing it?
Let's try.
We can.
If there are any tickets left.
Is
because
it
we're
too big? IMAX. I watched Oppenheimer in the IMAX. I was exhausted. I had to keep moving my eyes around.
If you're at the back, it's fine. But you have to. I mean,
right
I
at the
can't.
back.
I can't
I'm
do
up for
like.
it. I'm up for June at the IMAX. It
Okay.
should be good.
Cool. Oh my God, it's been amazing to have you back.
I feel emotional.
Yeah,
We need to not have to go another year. We need to get you back sooner.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we could talk to you for hours. You should come back like every couple of months or so. Just become like a regular, guest. Thank you again so much for having us. Well,
you're so welcome. Thanks for coming to my beautiful house where I hosted us.
No, but like it's about like you. Because you come into our podcast space, but also you hear us bubble on for like 3 hours. I think it's a very like humbling thing for us to do with you. So
look,
thank you.
I sat through all the Best Picture nominees.
This is still shorter than Oppenheimer, so
that is
all
true.
Good.
We're on our way there, though. If you was this far, you know what to do. You need to share with whoever is gonna also watch the Oscars with you. And yeah, we'll be back in maybe a couple of weeks. I'm kind of lost because I think we're off schedule, but let's say a couple of weeks with the final scene, which better be good, of Dune Part 2. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.